Today in the crypto space, we're seeing a bit of green, Bitcoin pushing to higher levels, hitting about $108,600, give or take. Ethereum right around the $2,600 mark, looking pretty good here. And the altcoins are patiently waiting for Ethereum to show some more strength to the upside. We have some good gainers like Tau and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about a project that is in part of an up-and-coming narrative, and that project is called Bio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the market. The market in general is looking pretty good. You got to admit, Bitcoin showing some strength, Ethereum holding steady, also showing a bit of strength, but Bitcoin right now is showing a lot more strength given the fact that it is a larger cap. Obviously, we know that, and it's up 2%, while Ethereum being a lower cap is also up 2%. However, guys, if Bitcoin being so large, it represents a lot more capital, and obviously to push such a beast to higher levels requires a lot more volume. So we've seen strength in Bitcoin right now, and a lot of the altcoins are also very hesitant, but in addition, looking like they want to spring. You know, it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the overall market cap. You can see it has been rising. Great. You know, hesitating right now at about $3.5 trillion. It made a higher high, guys. You can see that nice V recovery and now a higher high. And guess what else? We're getting a good confirmation of the goons. People are getting all involved in here, which is what we like, that market participation, suggesting that this move to the upside is in consensus. You know, people agree with this and people are getting behind it, which is great. Obviously great to see the total market cap rise. Let's scrape through the top 100 real quick, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin. And then, of course, today I want to talk about Bio. Bio's part of an interesting narrative. If you've been around, you have been hearing a little bit about the D-side narrative, the decentralized science narrative, and I feel like it needs a bit of attention because it could be a narrative that could be up and coming. So I am diversifying right now. I am looking for positions within the narrative. I have been accumulating a few projects, and I'm going to be sharing with you today Bio, which I think is a good beginner project to start getting into and start looking into it, doing a bit of research and so on and so forth. Perhaps start DCing, and then tomorrow I'm going to give you my second pick, which I think could be a really good gainer as well, given that I think that the involvement with some of the heavyweights in the space could definitely carry it to a much higher level. So right now we're going to be talking about the general top 100, Bitcoin, and then Bio. Okay, so let's begin. We do see a lot of strength here. XRP showing a bit of strength here, and you can see that although the altcoins for the grand majority are not up significantly percentage-wise, meaning that, you know, 2%, 1% is nothing to celebrate really. However, guys, it's the structure, the way it looks, and the way things are moving right now looks great, because we ultimately are waiting for Ethereum. If Ethereum breaks its range and start expanding to the upside for a break of structure, you can imagine what's going to happen to the altcoins. Right, a lot of them will start waking up and definitely following Ethereum's lead. And of course, as an indicator, you know, for risk on, what happens is people start front running, people start getting entries and start looking for altcoins for that opportunity for the volatility. Right, we look for volatility as a trader. You want the volatility, but you want it trending in a direction, and obviously you got to be trading in that direction. Right, so right now we have Hyperliquid doing pretty good. It's up 5%, Sui 3.5%. Those are good. Those are good gainers for today. You can see nothing major, but decent gainers. Aave up 4%, Uniswap approximately 4%, ICP almost 5%. So we got a good handful of good gainers today. Render a little bit. We're getting a bit of a pump on ARB, a little bit of a pump on Sky. I have no idea what that is. Of course, guys, if you want me to do a deep dive on any of the projects that you're interested in, join the Discord and make that request. I do deep dives weekly. Okay, so be prepared for this week's deep dive. What else do we have here? We got SPX, a little bit of a pump there. Virtual is doing pretty good. You know, Farcoin up 10%. That's pretty awesome to see. A lot of good projects. Meme coins doing good, all kinds of projects. So right now we're definitely seeing some strength here. However, guys, I think this could be just the beginning, right? If it is going to be the beginning, guys, we better be prepared. And this is why I'm looking right now for opportunities where we can scale in from a position of strength, buying low at great risk to reward ratio opportunities, and also taking risk on some assets that belong to up and coming narratives, untapped narratives that haven't been exploited to the max yet. And I think DeSci is an important narrative. Okay, so let's jump right into Bitcoin before we get into DeSci and bio and all of that. Let's get into Bitcoin and see what's going on here. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, at the end of the day, got a beautiful bounce to the upside, guys. It broke back above the previous high, and it looks great. Now, could we get a retracement for a confirmation low? Let's get on the 6 hour quick. You can see we're getting a beautiful pivot. Could we get a bit of a dip and then continue to the upside? Obviously, that is obviously possible. However, guys, if you happen to get in at these levels, again, green arrows, this is where the point of interests were. Guys, if you happen to get in at these levels and take a bit of risk, guys, right now, you're in the green. So you know what? Let's continue. Let's see what's going on here with the rest of the market. Now, again, you know, the opportunities are here for a reason. And I told you guys, I will welcome V recoveries with open arms. Guys, we got a beautiful V recovery here. Now, did I go absolutely nuts into this dip? Absolutely not. But it was definitely a point of interest of which if I got a structure that would give me that edge, I would definitely go all in. Now, I do have set open positions from right around this area, so I'm still happy with those. Yes, they got slightly underwater, and this is why I'm covering bios, because bio is a project that I've been accumulating and building my positions over for a good while. So ultimately, I feel like I need to, you know, start looking at those opportunities as we do come down to DCA. If you get into margin positions, low leverage positions, you add a bit of margin so you don't get liquidated, and you slowly build. You slowly build. You get into 3x, you slowly build, and so on, or just spot. That's totally fine. But right now, as we are getting signals from Bitcoin, this is looking good. Now, the bigger question for a lot of us is, do we see Bitcoin actually break the range and get above 109,000? Guys, that's the level. That's a very psychological level in the sense that we see that, you know, there's not much volume up until that level of 109,800. There's not much, and in fact, it dips down significantly after that. But it really does represent the psychological level. Okay, so we got to be prepared that we could even get a bit of a rejection here, and if we do, the market's going to start deciding whether this becomes a range of which we trade all summer long. Maybe we come down for another dip. Maybe we come down and, you know, inflict some pain down here. Then we get back above here, and by August, maybe we start moving again, right? Even throughout July, you never know what happens here. And then ultimately we start breaking. However, guys, we can't negate the fact and the possibility that we can start running any moment, because this cycle has proven to us time and time again that time is not on your side. If you try to time the market and expect things to happen when you think they're going to happen, guys, the market tends to teach you very expensive lessons. So we obviously, a lot of us in this space have been front running altcoins and getting in very, very early. And you noticed that so far, altcoins haven't been very fruitful in the sense that Bitcoin was the best asset to hold for the last little while. There was a couple others. We got to be real. There was a couple other altcoins, larger caps, the Suis and the Solanas at one point were doing great and so on, right? Even BNB killed it, did pretty good. But generally speaking here, Bitcoin would have been the safest, more reasonable asset to be involved in. However, guys, as we keep on moving to the upside here, we see that Bitcoin is within a very comfortable range. And when Bitcoin is looking comfortable and not aggressive, people start looking for aggressive price action. I know a lot of us complain that you know, crypto is very volatile, but for those of us that have been in this space for a while, we embrace volatility, because without volatility, we can't trade. Without being able to trade, how do we make the gains? How do we actually do anything in this space as a trader if there's no volatility? We want trending price action, and we need market participation to encourage volatility. In this case, Bitcoin, if it stays within a range, it's going to be super, super boring, and people are going to be looking to Ethereum and all the other altcoins for opportunity while Bitcoin goes sideways. And that is a perfect recipe for an altcoin season, for alts to catch up to Bitcoin. Could that happen? Definitely. Could Bitcoin break to the upside and break above 109, 110 and go for all-time highs in price discovery? That is also very possible, guys. And this is something that we got to consider, because ultimately Bitcoin right now is almost there and it could happen. Now, one thing that we have to understand is it's so easy to come up with a bullish thesis right now. Super easy, right? We're above a level of support. We said stay above. I said stay above here, and it respected what I said. Okay, great. Now that are staying above, okay, 200 EMA on the 6-hour, horizontal support, you can see the volume gap. It respected all of this. Great. Now, what do we do next? And until we break range and break above, again, 111,000, 112,000, guys, we're still within a range. And that's where a lot of people should or consider, potentially entering shorts right up here. And if that's the case, that they enter shorts, and for some apparent reason, there is some strength in this market that we slowly melt upwards and melt and melt and melt, what's happening is that the shorts up here might just get squeezed. And if you know what a short squeeze is, it's all the orders that went short eventually are going to have to be bought back on the market. And obviously that's going to cause a cascade of buy orders at higher levels. And eventually we squeeze to the upside and continue with, even sometimes very low volume. It happens, guys, because it's not necessary. There's no resistance. Right? No resistance, not much resistance, just psychological. So this is why I'm saying this is a very difficult place to be if you're trading Bitcoin. And I know a lot of people right now are focusing on Ethereum. It's one of the most trending topics right now is what is ETH doing. Guys, we'll discuss ETH tonight. Join me live at 8 p.m. EST. We'll talk about ETH. If you have any requests, any projects you want me to cover, that is a perfect time and place for you to join and make those requests, and I'll put them in top priority. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on with Bio. For those of you that are interested in Bio, or even in the DeSci narrative, this is my first pick, okay, Bio. It is an interesting project. It is a launch pad for DAOs that basically belong to the DeSci or the science narrative, right? So if you're a scientific group that is trying to raise capital, to fund some research or some, paperwork or whatever the case may be that they need the funding for within the DeSci narrative, they can deploy a DAO and raise capital that way. And in a decentralized fashion. We know that CZ has been talking about it, and this project is being backed right now by Binance within its incubation program, which is interesting to see. Obviously, definitely deep dive worthy. Now, if you look at the price action, guys, we've been hanging around here for a good while. Now, the only reason why I'm bringing this up today is obviously the narrative is pretty untapped. There's not much people talking about it. It's been a while that it's been hanging around, but nothing really picking up. Now, if you look into it, it sounds like a perfect way to decentralize the authority over the scientific research that scientists do, which for me is great, right? Why not? Knowledge is power, and power should be diversified or decentralized. So when I started to think about, okay, the narrative is cool, the fundamentals are cool, everything's good, checks out, obviously deep dive worthy, but then again, price action. Now, when you look at price action, we had a beautiful recovery. We're still within a range, obviously based on previous high. We came down for a low, we made a higher low, we made a higher high, we made a double top, we came down for a double bottom. So we're in a level of, a lot of, let's say, congestion, right? And very indecisive price action, which is not a bad place to be, especially if the risk to reward ratio is good and in your favor, right? And as you can see, the price action currently is at the bottom of the range. Your invalidation could be right here below the point of control. A solid invalidation is below this low. If the price falls below this low, it's not a good look. Obviously, we come down, and who knows how low we go from here. But these two double bottom scenarios are still very valid levels to anticipate an invalidation, because if we fall below, I just want you to look at the volume below it. There's not much volume, right? This is a very psychological level, because it's the last bottom, that's the last line in the sand before we confirm a lower low. But because there's not much volume, what are the chances of getting that support? Well, guys, a lot of people just trade risk to reward. They get in right here, they put a stop loss, boom, 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 and they wait for their entries, even limit orders, or whatever the case is, and then bang. So is it possible? 100%. But the way we are positioned right now and structured right now, it's not a bad place, not only to put this on a watch list, but also to consider DCAing at the bottom of this range. Why? Because it did dip significantly. And you can see I've been waiting patiently to get into this project. In fact, I got into another project today, guys, within the same narrative. I'm going to be releasing a video potentially tomorrow about it, and the setup and everything, because it is looking good and it's showing a lot of strength today. Keep in mind, bio's up approximately 9% so far for the day, so it's pretty good. It's performing quite well in comparison to the rest of the market. So the question is, if you're able to get into a position right around this level, how do you treat the top of the range? Well, technically it's resistance, because if once we break above it, you can see that there's a volume gap, an empty space, and then there's not much volume really. There's a little bit right here, okay, just a little bit, and then a diminishing volume. No volume right into here, a little bit of volume right into this level, a little bit of resistance right around 23 cents, a node of volume right into here, okay, but then again, emptiness. So you can see that there's a lot of emptiness above, just emptiness, psychological level for sure, so be careful around there, but definitely emptiness. So what I'm saying here is, it's very possible that we are looking at a floor price. It is very possible that there's no more sellers. It's very possible that at this level we're going to see a lot of accumulation. You can see in a grand scheme of things, the majority of the volume is right into here, starting to pick up, which is great for me. Now, what about if it falls? I'm glad to stop myself out and reaccumulate at the next structure. What about if we bounce? In this case, I would be trailing up a stop loss, and I would be at this level waiting for some sort of structure to happen right below the horizontal resistance. If we can get a structure there, right? Obviously, I'll have my stop loss below the structure, but if we can get a structure here, it would be a good sign for a quick exchange of hands right before resistance, right before the breakout, to ensure that we start the breakout with as much strength as possible, offloading short-term traders, which is totally fine. People need to take profits, let them take profits, but onboarding a lot of more bullish bids at this level that are expecting a breakout and continuation. So we want to let go of the short-term traders and onboard the long-term traders so we can get a big, strong impulse out of resistance. That's what we're looking for. And ultimately, the range is great and the risk to reward ratio is great. The setup is good. And based on risk to reward, it's totally fine to anticipate a bit of a DCA in this area. Even if we do come down and, cause a little bit of a shakeout, guys, this zone is pretty safe. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's safe is because there's not a lot of people yapping about it. There was a couple of people last week or 2 weeks ago bringing it up on socials, but it kind of simmered away. This is how we've been showing a little bit of strength here. But generally speaking, guys, the overall narrative is a quiet one. So I would be considering research. Research is going to empower you to make some critical decisions. And I've done a bit of research on bio, and I kind of like what it has to offer. Guys, if you want me to do a deep dive on this project, join the Discord and make the request. I'll be glad to add it to the list. Now, let's take a look at oscillators real quick. You can see, guys, that this thing went oversold. Guys, if you want to know more about this oscillator, I got links in the description. It's called Synergy Signal. It's a custom oscillator that has been working really, really well for me in the last little while. As you can see, lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum, and the expansions in the background doing the same thing. We got multiple drives of divergence here on different metrics, right? Which is great. I don't like that this thing is overbought right now, which means that we could be looking for a bearish response anytime soon. Now, if we get a bearish response, at least do not give us a lower low. Let's get that bearish response. Let's make the higher low, and then let's go for another bullish response and make a higher high. And then we're cooking. And then it's going to be basically a pivot point structure, a change of character down here. And then for sure, we're going to start looking for potential breaks of previous highs, making higher highs, and then going back to range highs. As you can see, we want a change of character here. Up until now, it's been lower lows and lower highs. Give us a higher low and then a higher high so we can break this high and then eventually this high, and then we confirm a change of character. And then you're going to see it looks like an inverse head and shoulders, cup and handles, Adam and Eves, and all of these type of patterns that we look for. This is how they play out and how they're formed at the bottom of the range. This is what you should be looking for. What else I like about this is the trend oscillator. Look at this. EMA is facing up. Green histogram bars are in full force right now on the 6 hour. You can see we got a bullish divergence down here, which was epic, which was good. But if you look at the daily, we want to see the daily get that EMA cross. This is what we really are. This is why we're a little bit early here, but all good, right? Because we want to be able to track this and see exactly what's happening here on the lower time frame, so we can see the daily kind of pivot into its own bullish stance. Right now, it's still somewhat bearish. Obviously, it's still in a downtrend. No change of character, as I told you. Still lower lows and lower highs, but we're at the bottom of the range. we're at the bottom of the range, guys. So like this is almost like a now or never type of scenario. And of course, the bottom is like last line in the sand. If we break there invalidation. But so we're a bit early, but the 6 hours giving us signal. We're a bit early, but the 6 hours giving us a reason and a point to actually put this on a watch list and keep track of the entries here at the bottom of the range. All right, guys. So if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.